Right, so we're. So you're telling me all about the house. Cheers.
Sláinte bh. Sláinte. Cheers.
So the house, you're saying, it's 1869.
Oh, this cottage. Somebody showed me an advertisement back in 1981 of the Clonbrock house
Yeah.
and grounds for sale, and it was the public auction was held in the Great Southern Hotel, Galway, which was called the Railway Hotel one time, and on Thursday, Ladies' Day for the Galway races. They picked that day because they'd get a good crowd. They expect a good crowd.
Yeah.
So the auction started and the house and 15 lots were put under the hammer. And the first lot was the house itself, and all the 14 lots together, and no bidders made by anybody on anything, and before the auction started then, Clonbrock House and Woodlawn House went on the market at the same auction, and somebody stood up in the audience in the Great Southern Hotel upstairs. There could be about 20 or 30 people there, and they start talking about rights of ways and all this. and I think that it didn't do any good anyway.
Yeah.
For the people selling it. So lot number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, all the lots came up. No bids by anybody or anything. No bids whatsoever. And then afterwards, then I'd be standing around and chatting or whatever, like, and Major Wilson was the guy that had owned the property at that time. He was a retired British Army officer, big tall gentleman, and lovely buttonhole hair and the tunic, and well-spoken guy and all that.
Yeah.
So I got talking to him anyway, and about a week or two before the auction, this friend of mine, he's dead now, the two of us drove down here, down to Clonbrock.
Yeah.
And I remember seeing this bush outside the front, the cottage, and took a piece of it and brought it with me.
Right.
Anyway, so after the auction then, I made a deal with him for this cottage on a half an acre and 6 acres at the river, and I couldn't believe it, but anyway, so the price was reasonable anyway, so
Yeah.
that's how it came about. And when I came down here, then all this wall here would have been glass originally, glass on the side, and glass on this half of the roof, on the roof to be facing north.
Yeah.
because taking photographs in some place you have to have an even light, and if you're on the sunny side, the sun clouds the whole lot, like we all changing all the time. So that's the little setup, like, you know. So this wall is down, and a big branch fell off the Spanish chestnut tree, and badly damaged the roof, like, you know.
Yeah.
So all this boarding is all new, and I built up this brick wall and covered it and put in these windows and put it on the new floor.
Yeah.
Kept all the features possible,
Yeah.
and back in 1981. So then we'd have the place. Then you see you'd start picking up bits of information and doing bits of research, and then I just came across a poster that Airs and Grace's photography, photographs from Clonbrock House at the National Photographic Archive, Mission House Square, Dublin, Temple Bar. It was in September 2002,
Wow.
just 20 years ago.
Mm.
And it's nearly time they should have another one up there now. And those steps are still up there.
Is that the... s-
That little girl that's there,
Yeah.
that's taken probably around, it could be 1880 or so. And little leather boots and frilly dress and a little doll. And she obviously posing for the picture, like, you know, but
Mm-hmm.
it's very hard for kids to stay still for.
Yeah.
So
Gee.
it's amazing, and perhaps tomorrow you might retake that picture.
Yeah, actually, I'd love to.
But anyway,
She was on the second step.
when the as years went on, the at one stage Clonbrock, I think Lord Clonbrock had about 50,000 acres, including bogs and bad land and good land or whatever. And at that auction house, that I think the land was down to about 50 acres.
Mm.
The land commissioner moved in, like, you know, and all the family would be dying off, and like once the First World War started, especially after the First World War, wages started rising.
Mm-hmm.
They couldn't afford staff, and everything ran down, like, you know. So,
And, Jay, so...
but the last people, the last person to live here then would have been Ethel Dillon, and when I came down here in 1981, there was a gentleman living down the courtyard. We used to call him Mr. Elliot, and he's from the north of Ireland, and his sister used to be there now and again, and he seems to be the last person, the last servant who's left here, like, you know.
Wow.
And apparently in Ethel Dillon's latter years, that sit down at the table in the big house and that have a share food, like, you know.
Yeah.
And then and then the house she used to have a little garden here beside the photograph house.
Mm.
I showed it in the morning.
Mm.
And she had a little he built a little greenhouse for her to the end of her days, like, you know.
Yeah.
And then she had a little well and a bit of a lighthouse in the sea. And like childhood returning to her, you know.
Yeah. So the house was burned in what, 84, was it?
About 83, 84, yeah.
84. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
The old Cranbrook house. was.
Mysterious, like, you know.
Yeah.
Um,
God.
and I happened to be down there that day
Yeah.
with a friend of mine in Galway called Steve Plant. He's now operating in France.
Mm.
He's got a fairly upmarket house out there. But I came down. I was around the cottage here, and there's a neighbour out there turning grass with the tractor, and he came over to me and he said there's smoke coming from the big house. So the two of us walked pretty fast up to the front door,
Yeah.
and straight away I realised the whole thing was serious, like, you know. So I ran down to the courtyard, down to Mr. Elliott at a phone down there, rang the fire brigade, Ballyslow, and then they started off. It probably took them a quarter of an hour to mobilise the crew, and another quarter of an hour to get here, and then we had to, myself and Steve, then we got a portable pump from the fire appliance, and we took it down on my jeep down to the river, and we laid about 15 inches of hose from the river up to the house. It took about best part of an hour. But that time the fire had broken out through the window in the back and right up to the roof.
Was there anyone in the house at the time? Just
There's no sign of it, no village, no. Nobody down here but ourselves. And
Yeah.
people living down in the courtyard.
they never found out what caused it, no?
No, there's nobody's any idea.
Yeah. Was there a lot of antiques in it? Lost there was.
About a year before the fire, there was a massive auction down here.
Okay, yeah.
Went on for 2 days.
Yeah, yeah.
I think RTE made a wonderful film out, you know.
Mm. So why would the stuff be auctioned at the time?
Sorry?
Why was the stuff auctioned out of the house?
Well, because the contents were worth a lot more than the house itself.
Okay, so
People want to.
so the owner at the time auctioned them off.
They must have, yeah.
Who was the owner?
I don't know.
Oh, you don't know who the owner was.
Major Wilson
Was gone at that stage.
no.
He was still there?
When I bought the house, he was in.
In '81, yeah.
I don't know who.
He obviously.
He probably bought it after the contents, without the contents, you know. I don't know.
Yeah.
I wouldn't know. Yeah.
Yeah, sure, yeah. Gee. Yeah, that was an interesting story. Yeah.
God, it was one of the saddest days of my life anyway.
Yeah.
I discovered it was on fire.
Yeah. Jeez. God. No, that's I just knock off.